I found out I was pregnant, but when I told my husband, his mother stormed in, demanded I get a baby bye-bye unless I proved the baby was her son's, and my husband just sat there silently. He never defended me, and now I want a divorce. I don't feel safe, and I can't stop thinking about getting rid of this pregnancy just to be free from my husband and his family forever. I need to get this out somewhere or I'll burst. I've been holding all this inside for a whole day, feeling completely alone, and I can't share it with anyone I know in real life. Honestly, I just want someone to listen, even if it's a crowd of strangers online. This morning I found out I'm pregnant. I have no idea how far along I am, maybe just a few weeks. The moment I saw the test result, I went straight to tell my husband, Benjamin, 32 man. He seemed so delighted. He hugged me and told me how glad he was about it. I thought I'd see happiness and support from him. I let myself feel a little joy. Maybe things would finally go well for both of us. A couple hours later, Benjamin left to visit his parents, acting cheerful. I didn't think much of it and tried to relax alone at home. Then there was a knock at the door, so abrupt, it made me jump. I opened it, and there stood my military, Susan, 57 female, with Benjamin quietly slinking behind her. He never warned me she'd come, and he knows I get anxious and uncomfortable with unannounced visitors, especially someone as intimidating as his mom. It was only the second or third time she'd been to our apartment, but she immediately acted like she owned the place. She told me, almost coldly, to sit down. My heart was pounding. I kept staring at Benjamin, silently begging him to look at me, to say or do something, anything, to make this okay, but he avoided my eyes, always staring at the floor or his own hands. Susan started by giving me a cold congratulations. The next words out of her mouth wrecked me. She demanded that I get a paternity test. No warm welcome, no checking in to see how I was, just immediate suspicion, as if I were some kind of cheater. It felt like she was calling me a prostitute, without actually saying the word. It stung so much, I was too shocked to respond. Still, Benjamin never so much as looked at me. Susan noticed me glancing at him, desperate for help, and snapped at me to look at her. "He won't help you," she said flatly. My anxiety spiked into real fear. She started to make legal threats, boasting about how she's friends with a slew of lawyers, ready to crush me if I tried anything. Then, in the same cold tone, she said, "If you're smart, you'll come with me tomorrow and end this whole thing at the clinic. Otherwise, we'll do it the hard way." I've never felt so powerless in my whole life. It was like I belonged to her, not even a person but an obstacle she had to remove. I kept wishing Benjamin would stand up and defend me, but he just sat there in silence, looking even smaller and more pathetic by the second. The most awful thing? I felt like Susan, with her words and her presence, had reached inside me and tainted whatever was growing there, as if whatever feelings I had for Benjamin were ruined at that moment. Suddenly, sitting there next to Benjamin, I felt only disgust for him. Disgust for ever letting him near me, for ever loving him. The only thing I managed to stammer out was that I needed some time to decide what to do. Susan barked, "There's nothing to decide," like she'd made all my choices for me. I repeated, my voice cracking, that I was choking and needed a few days. She clearly didn't like that answer, saying that's exactly what she expected from someone like me, and that it only confirmed her suspicions. It made me want to puke. Tears were welling in my eyes, but I swallowed them. Before leaving, Susan coolly said, "I'm sorry it had to be this way," and gave me 3 days to make up my mind. Benjamin walked her out, never speaking to me once. The second they were gone, I broke down, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. I felt violated, unsafe in my own home. I started panicking. What if they forced themselves back in? Would they just drag me off to the clinic? How little do they think of me? Was Benjamin always this distrustful? Did he and his family always see me as someone unfaithful? My head was spinning with questions and shame. I kept trying to throw up from crying so hard. And through all of this, the thought tortured me. Why didn't Benjamin protect me? This wasn't the person I married. I married him because I thought he'd make me feel safe. I was so wrong. I felt sick just sitting there. Sick at being pregnant, sick at the thought of Benjamin, sick at myself for letting all of this happen. When I heard Benjamin return, I hid in the bathroom, locked the door, and kept on crying. He didn't try to speak to me or comfort me, nothing. I waited for him to fall asleep so I could try to catch some rest on the uncomfortable kitchen couch. I couldn't bear the thought of sharing the same bed ever again. Right now, everything feels ruined. Maybe I can't think straight, but I want a divorce. I cannot ever feel safe around someone or love them if they're willing to let their mother treat me like I'm nothing. What terrifies me most is that I want an abortion more than anything. It was the first thing I looked up online, frantically searching for how to end this pregnancy and tear away any connection to Benjamin and his mother. I'm so rattled, I accidentally scratched my stomach till it turned red and itchy. Every time I think about what's inside me, I dissolve into a mess of hysterical, guttural sobs. I just want all of this gone. I want to be safe again. It feels strange admitting it, but I don't feel guilty at all for wanting a divorce or for wanting an abortion. I know it means losing the future I dreamed of and all my friends, but I started from nothing before, when I ran from my parents' house. I can do it again. Right now, that's my only hope. Everything about this pregnancy reminds me of Susan, and I'm terrified. I want it out. Abortion was never something I considered before. I never spent much time around pregnant people, honestly. Maybe now I just feel numb, but getting all this out in writing calms me a little, enough that I feel I can make a plan. I'm still not sure whether I should move out first or take myself to a doctor. I keep imagining that Benjamin's family will try and somehow keep me here, trap me. For now, though, I'm just numb. The urge to run is still there, but the panic has dulled. I want to sleep, but I have to work tomorrow anyway. Maybe an excuse to leave the apartment will help. There's no way I can stay here, not while everything feels this unsafe. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just reading this. I have no friends to turn to anymore. Comments with OP's replies. A user suggested, get the paternity test, then get the abortion and file for divorce. If you get the abortion before the paternity, they'll spin it and blame you. Your husband's a coward and his mom will spin the story in their favor. I googled this and it seems they only do paternity tests once or at least 9 weeks pregnant. I have no idea how far I am. My stomach's still flat, never been sick. Only symptoms I had were pimples, an insatiable appetite, constant tiredness and soreness. No idea what week that lines up with. I have health insurance from work, but I'm terrified to use it in case they find out. The cost of the test plus first doctor visit is high, but I have money saved for it. What if I'm not far enough along? I don't want to wait. I want it gone, now. It's all so overwhelming. Thinking about clinics, paternity tests, lawyers, and how to escape at the same time is just impossible. Update 1. Hey everyone, it's me again. First, thank you so much to every single one of you who commented or messaged since my post. I never imagined I'd get so much support from strangers. It made me feel so much less alone, and it truly helped, especially when I was falling apart. Sorry I haven't replied to everyone or updated sooner. I tried to start replying on the train, but the comments kept coming. I couldn't keep up. It's honestly the most interaction I've had in my life. And a special thanks to the person who made a funny joke right after my post. I was totally falling apart, and your comment shook me out of another panic attack, even though you deleted it later. Quick update. I'm okay. I'm still living with Benjamin, but I sleep on the couch. I'm about 7 or 8 weeks pregnant now. I've talked to Benjamin, but honestly, nothing productive came from it. I've decided I want a divorce. I'm looking at apartments, but haven't moved just yet. Benjamin and I are scheduled to go to a clinic on Friday for the paternity sample. I'm not sure what I want to do about the pregnancy yet. I feel completely numb. To answer all those who asked and got downvoted, no, I never cheated. Benjamin is my first and only partner. He knows this. That's why his silence hurts so much more. There's probably not much left to tell, but in case you're wondering, I'm still here. Just numb. Here's what's going on in my head. Since Monday, I feel like a robot. Everything feels distant, fake. There was one brief rush of emotion when I talked to Benjamin, but otherwise, nothing feels real. I just put myself on autopilot, do the chores, go to work, pretend to be fine. On Monday, Benjamin didn't leave the bedroom at all. He works from home, so he just hid there. I slipped back into old habits I had as a teenager, trying to move around the house violently, as though I don't exist, so I don't disturb anyone. It's depressing to feel this way again. After years swearing I'd never let myself feel unsafe like I did in my parents' house. But I just left for work without saying a word. I got so much support from your comments on the train. And from you, I was able to research clinics and tests more. You guys gave me advice that actually helped me come up with a plan. That Monday afternoon, some people started begging me not to go through with an abortion. They said it's just trauma and I'm not thinking straight. I'd visit the bathroom at work, put my hands on my belly, try to feel something, but all I felt was numbness and a touch of disgust, thinking about this whole thing. I'm sorry, but I can't help how I feel right now. I started looking up apartments in the meantime. Even if I'm numb, I know I need to get out, to get a safe place that's just mine. I can technically afford to move out alone. I'll have to quit luxuries like dance classes and salons, and I won't be able to put much in savings, but that's fine. I realize now, the last time I left home, I had nothing. No job, no degree, no money. Seeing that I could live on my own money made things less scary. So the plan is, I'll move out after we get our samples for the paternity test. I'll probably wait until next Monday or Tuesday when Benjamin goes to the office, so I can pack everything in peace. Some people messaged saying I'm being dramatic and that my husband is also a victim, or that I'm being sexist, and that we should talk before making big decisions. It just made me feel tired, honestly, but I did plan to talk to him. In short, here's what happened. 1. I asked Benjamin if he actually thought I cheated. He said no, not at first, but my reaction to his mother made him think maybe I did. I told him my reaction was out of fear, not guilt. He insisted there was nothing to be afraid of. We argued, got nowhere. 2. I asked why he didn't stand up for me, why he let her treat me like that. Turns out, Susan pays for our apartment. I never knew. He let her do whatever she wanted for that reason. I felt totally unsafe, like I didn't belong at all. But I'm committing to my plan to get out. 3. Because arguing with him was pointless, and some commenters said my expectations were unfair, I told him my full, honest thoughts about abuse, our responsibilities to each other, my whole background. He barely responded, except to defend his mother and insist she isn't abusive. I told him my terms. I'll take the test, but I won't see his mother. I refuse to be alone with her, and she shouldn't come into our apartment. From now on, all appointments are with just the two of us. He agreed. I didn't mention divorce or abortion to him. I don't feel safe doing that right now. A lot of people told me to just play along, and honestly, I have experience with that from my childhood. That night, Benjamin offered to sleep on the couch or have me return to the bedroom, but just the thought of the bed now disgusts me. I overheard him on the phone with Susan, but I couldn't make out what he was saying. The next day, I tried not to read any more comments so I could figure out how I felt about the pregnancy. But I still felt nothing, even at the appointment. Nothing felt real. Everything. The doctor, the folders, the recommendations. It all seemed fake. Like a big pretend game. That cold calm is keeping me functional, so I won't question it too much. For now, I'm giving Benjamin until Monday. If he doesn't apologize or do something meaningful before then, I'm filing for divorce. Until I move out, I won't do anything about the pregnancy. I've already missed the cutoff for a medication abortion. Anything now is more invasive. Still, I feel nothing about the pregnancy, so I'll just wait and see if things change. Thinking about seeing Susan again makes me sick with fear, even though Benjamin says he'll keep her away until the results are back. I have no idea if my fears are rational. I guess I'll find out. I know this update is long, but I can't thank everyone enough for the support. Since all my friends were always Benjamin's friends too, I couldn't confide in anyone else. You've given me more courage than you could know. Thank you. Update 2. Hey everyone, checking in nearly a month after my first post. Sorry it's been so long since an update. Life just snowballed, and with work ramping up, I barely had time to sleep, let alone write. To get straight to the point, I'm not pregnant anymore. I live alone now, in a very expensive but safe apartment. The divorce isn't finalized yet. I lost all my friends. Everyone sided with Benjamin and his mother, but I'm okay, truly. I'll try to be brief. Some important things from my last update that got deleted, may be missing, but I'll answer questions in the comments. My plan had been to stay in the apartment until the paternity test was done, and I'd found a place to move. Benjamin and I talked. He refused to admit Susan was out of line and insisted I only seemed guilty. That's when I learned Susan paid our rent, even though Benjamin owns plenty. He let her pay so he could spend more on himself, a fact he never told me. That made me feel doubly unsafe. Benjamin promised me, "You'll never have to see my mother again." That was a lie. When it was time for the paternity test at the clinic, Benjamin didn't come, Susan did, and I was left alone with her. I completely lost control of my emotions, sobbing and panicking. I called Benjamin. He said he hadn't broken his promise since it wasn't a doctor's visit, just a blood sample. He was late, leaving me stuck with Susan and cold staff who scowled at me and chatted only with her. Now I can see why. If they thought I was just some cheating young woman, my behavior probably looked unhinged. But at the time, I couldn't help it. I was just full of panic. After, Benjamin informed me Susan paid for the test as well, even though he easily could have. At home, he told me my behavior had embarrassed him, and that he was too ashamed to ever invite his mother over again. He added that with how I've been acting, he's unsure if he wants to stay married. Looking back, I'm actually thankful. Hearing him say that finally snapped me out of the panic and filled me with resolve. I had always felt ashamed for wanting a divorce, but after that, I knew it was the only option. The dissociation people mentioned in earlier comments got so bad that I started making mistakes at work. I couldn't even get a day off to handle things. Still, I preferred feeling nothing over being perpetually terrified. I naively thought that once the test proved my fidelity, Susan and Benjamin would just back off. I couldn't have been more wrong. Once they got the test results confirming the child was Benjamin's, things got crazier. Susan basically moved in with us. She got controlling, texting and calling constantly to track where I was. At least with work so busy, I could stay away for long hours without suspicion. But evenings and weekends were torture. Susan hovered everywhere. She'd even wait outside the bathroom for me and knock if I took too long. Benjamin insisted she just wanted to spend time with me and show she cared, but it felt menacing. She started cleaning, cooking, managing my every move, never being kind about it. She forced me to sleep in the same bed with Benjamin, and those nights were unbearable. I managed to move out after about a week and a half, though because of New Year's, rent was insanely high. My new place isn't a long-term solution since it's so costly, but after spring, I should be able to find something more affordable. Still, I left most of my stuff, clothes, books, trinkets, behind. I doubt I'll get any of it back, but that's fine. When I moved, I texted Benjamin to say I couldn't stand how her life was, how uncomfortable his mother's constant presence made me, and that I needed to separate. He and his mother sent barrage of texts, but I've ignored his mother and deleted everything she sent. Benjamin lost it. He sent me a string of insults which made me cry. When he asked outright if I wanted to divorce, I told him just the idea of sharing a bed or being touched by him makes me sick. He retorted that either I had been cheating and got lucky with the paternity, or there was something fundamentally wrong with me, and I actually sort of agree. Is it normal to fall out of love so fast? Maybe I am deeply unwell. Benjamin demanded daily pregnancy updates, presumably to forward to his mother. But by then, I was sure I wanted an abortion, so I had to act quickly. I won't go into excruciating detail, but I'll say this for anyone in a similar situation. Find someone to help you through it. My first attempt was derailed by a staff member claiming I needed Benjamin's written consent, which set off another panic attack. Thankfully, as some of you suggested, I found a support group, and a volunteer met me and reassured me that the clinic's demands weren't legal, and that these sorts of tricks are common to delay people. Without her, I would have been lost. A lot of people urged me to keep the pregnancy, warning that the abortion was just a trauma response and that I'd regret it. I know they meant well, but after it was done, I actually felt a mental weight had been lifted, even though my body was still struggling. Focusing on the divorce process, I thought, would finally give me peace, but shutting down the pregnancy is what helped. Even if it makes me sound callous, I want to be honest. If my response was just trauma, that's not fair to any child. I'm clearly not well enough to be a mother, and Susan absolutely does not deserve to control more children. She is cut from the same cloth as my parents. I feel it in my bones. After the abortion, I let Benjamin know I was no longer pregnant, and I'm ignoring all his and Susan's calls and texts. Since Susan had already blasted my pregnancy news everywhere online, all our friends, who were really his friends, knew everything anyway. Some reached out, but now no one's texting, and a couple of them even unfollowed me on social media. I miss talking to people, but I know I have to let them go too. That's all I can manage right now. I'm still bedridden, trying to recover before another hellish work week. Thanks to everyone. Seriously, all your kind words and advice kept me from feeling totally alone in this nightmare. Happy holidays to you all. I hope yours are peaceful exactly as you want them to be. That's it for this story. This story highlights the devastating effects of emotional betrayal, particularly when family dynamics and control seep into the most private parts of a person's life. It's a stark look at how not being supported by those closest to you in a moment of crisis can fundamentally change the course of someone's life. What do you think? Would you have handled things differently, or do you think boundaries with in-laws are a deal breaker in a relationship? Share your thoughts below.